Welcome everybody to She Ace That. It's your host Alexandra, and today I have a super special guest. Andy, thank you for joining She Ace That.
Oh, absolutely. When you reached out, I was ecstatic to be able to be a part of this.
I'm so grateful. You hold an incredible, special place in my volleyball journey. When I was a sophomore playing club at Supernova on your national team, I just remember going to tryouts for that. That was my first national team tryout. And you definitely saw something in me that I didn't even know really existed. You had a way of making me feel confident in hitting from day one, even though I never hit before in my life. I had definitely amazing coaches prior to as well, but you and your wife Heather were a catalyst to my entire volleyball journey, and I will never be able to repay either of you enough for it. I'll never forget you coming up to me while I was trying out as a right side. And I just remember you telling me one thing to change my approach and jump more up versus out at the net. I had this random, incredible kill, and I've never had that feeling before. And it was during a tryout, so it felt super empowering. And after making the team, you did something that changed everything, which was moving me to a middle hitter, middle blocker. That one decision, along with your coaching from both you and Heather, shaped not just the player I became, but definitely the coach I became as well. Things can change so quick. And as long as you have the right people looking out for you, you can definitely excel and succeed. And he's been coaching since 2011. And he went from playing around 20 years old to becoming a coach, and he has transformed so many players' lives. And that's pretty much exactly what She Ace That is all about, empowerment through sports. We are going to get into the start of his volleyball journey and career. Nowadays, there's a lot of men's high school teams that we're seeing come up in Michigan and things like that, but it's not necessarily something that's always been around in a grade school dynamic. I started playing at a younger age, maybe in middle school, and you started when you're 20s at the YMCA. So take me back to the first time that you and your friend maybe were embarrassed at Michigan Elite. What made you keep coming back?
You said when I first started playing, a buddy of mine, I was at just community college, just messing around. We just started talking about tennis, ping pong, pool, just random sports. And you know what I miss playing? Volleyball, because gym volleyball was just fun. We were horrible at it, and we thought we were so good, but gym volleyball was so bad, but we just missed playing. And he played and had the same sentiment. So we found just 12 guys and girls that wanted to play and just started renting courts at YMCA's. And we thought we were all hot stuff and being phenomenal and being able to not hit the ball 30 feet out of bounds. It was only 4 feet out of bounds. He found the place, Michigan Elite, was just a mile and a half from my house at the time. And he's, hey, all they do is just drop in volleyball on Friday nights and Sunday nights all night. And I'm like, absolutely, sign me up. Let's go. We went there, and the team that we joined on had only four, so we made six. After our first game, him and I were so comparatively low. They said, no, that's okay. We'll just play fours. So going there and realizing that there is such thing as structure and positions and tactics, and it's not just, oh, don't let the ball touch the floor. It's just not the little game that you play as a kid where you don't want the balloon to touch the floor. There is actually competition to it. Just kind of changed my mind, and we kept coming back. And there's a small group of us that joined. We'd all text each other, and we would show up at 5, 6 o'clock when they opened, play till 11 o'clock when they closed, and then just rinse, repeat until we kind of learned some basics, and then started meeting new people, playing with specific individuals that were former college athletes. My father-in-law played 4 years at Ohio State, so
Wow.
the highest level tried out for the men's national team. So started working with and playing with that level and just going from there.
That's awesome. So I guess now looking back, you have the coaching experience of coaching younger athletes as well. So can you give me a little insight on what it was to maybe learn volleyball as an adult versus you watching the kids that you're teaching and learning it now? What were those differences that you noticed?
It was so much harder to learn it as an adult because you think you know what you're doing and you're set in your ways. When you're young, it's a blank slate. It's, oh, it's fun. This is easy. The other major difference is I think as an adult, you can improve faster just because you have the physicality, the balance. Your body is what it is. You don't need to worry about
Mhm.
those kind of changes. When you're younger, especially as a girl that's starting in middle school, you have those changes. You grow a lot, you change a lot, and you need to make sure that basics need to be hammered home. So the progression
Mhm.
is a little bit slower, rather than adult when my body is the way it is.
Even in high school, I thought I was very coordinated and knew a lot, and you still don't. And now looking back, especially playing in college and when you're in your 20s, it's such a different dynamic physically and mentally, which is a huge part of the sport as well. But it is just funny how I feel no matter what you start out as, we always have that. I don't know if it's entitlement, but we think we know what we're doing because we're either having fun doing it or as we gain more wisdom in whatever sport it is, how maybe we didn't know everything we thought we knew at the beginning. You started as all positions, right?
Yep.
Because you were trying to figure things out. So was that overwhelming or was that freeing? Did you feel, okay, I wasn't in this niche spot that I knew everything in, but I was willing to be adaptable in those ways? How did that kind of make you feel?
Much fun learning to play kind of everything not the right way and then learning how to play everything the right way. Because the group that I would play with, where we'd play all the way around. And then as we started, some of us started showing, oh, I'm better at this. Oh, I'm better at that. And then we actually learned the rule that you don't have to stay in the spot that you're at on the court. And then we started, oh, you're better at setting. You're only 5'1", so you're not going to be a hitter. And then we learned how to switch. But when we started doing that, all of us knew every kind of position. And I think it's invaluable to learn every position, and if not in detail, at least basics, especially for defense. Because if I know as an outside hitter where my libero is going to be, where my middle back is going to be, where the block's going to be, I know where to set up. I know I can build a relationship with that person. And then also on the same token as an outside hitter, if I know, okay, my libero typically plays here, I'm not going to swing to that hole. I know where blocks set up. I know where defenses are. I know where weak spots are and can find it. So you having even just a basic grasp of every position is going to make you better at whatever position you do end up playing.
That's so true. I think that was my experience too. If I didn't set really early on, which I wouldn't consider myself an actual setter at that time, but just what the team needed. But we we somehow went undefeated my freshman year with me as a setter. And it wasn't because of even our skill set. It was actually because of the dynamics we had as a team and kind of understanding what everybody's role was. And even taking the transition from knowing what hitters expect from a setter perspective to then moving to a hitter was okay, I actually know what they're looking for and need. And then same with back row. If you have that back row dynamic, then you know what you're expecting from the blocking perspective. It's definitely a team sport versus an individual sport. And even though there's individual roles, a lot of people forget that they're not the only one on the team making a difference. Everybody has to do their job in order to add to the whole team's success. And athletes in many team sports in general, but especially volleyball, the athletes who are only so focused on their role, it's not helpful. I think we all need to try. You don't have to know everything about every other position, but you have to try to understand what their expectations are and where they're coming from in order to help not only them be successful, but you as well,
Oh,
and your team
absolutely.
as a whole.
Yeah. You were talking about the player relationship. I had one year where I had a libero and a DS, ran the libero out of left back, the DS out of middle back. And from day one, they just started talking first practice. Hey, where do you feel comfortable? Hey, where do you want to do this? And the libero would take 2/3 of the ball, which would happen. And the DS was like, yeah, that's fine. All the ones you can't get, I'm behind you. I got you covered. And those two could cover a back row by themselves. And it was
Mhm.
insane, some of the balls that they would partner up and be able to talk to and touch and never get in each other's way.
Mhm.
We used to do practices where we would have everybody, okay, you have 5 minutes, talk to each other. And then we would run games where you're not allowed to talk to each other. You need to learn that feeling of somebody being there because you're going to be in tournaments, you're going to be in games where it's insanely loud. You're not going to be able to feel it. So you need to be able to feel comfortable on the floor and with the person next to you. So tying all those things into each other. Plus, I would do that on
Yeah,
practices. The girls were making me irritated, so it's a fun punishment.
that goes with tryouts too, right? Because especially for club, let's say you're trying out as back row players and you don't know the other girls at the tryout. So you might not be as comfortable communicating or being loud or understanding what each girl's going to take. And one of my tips was that when you do get into the back row, you need to look at the girl before even the play's going and just say, hey, if it's to, let's say you're in middle back and it's to your right, then you're going to look at the right back and just say, hey, I'm going to get this seam. And then you're going to look at the left back and say, oh, you can get this seam, just to make sure that you're not dropping balls during tryouts and looking you can't communicate, especially if you're not as comfortable with the other girls next to you. It's all about feeling out what everybody's comfortable with in the back row, but also still having that aggressive tactic. So you said if the libero wasn't getting it, the other DS was already there waiting and knew her role. It's definitely interesting how communication is so pushed. But you said when it's too loud on the court or when there's certain situations that you have to feel it, it's something that you have to really work on to learn versus just be told or accept by the other player next to you. You want to make sure you're all comfortable and being able to feel each other out, know where you're supposed to be in regards to coverage.
I know you've done kind of some segments and conversations on tryouts, but you just brought up a
Mhm.
fantastic point, though. The tryout forms that I created and that I've gone through and that I've used, the skills is passing, hitting, setting. It's 5 sections on a half sheet of paper. The other half of it is literally what are you doing when you're not on the court? What are you doing with the conversation with the girl next to you? What are you doing talking to coaches? Are you congratulating people when they do something good, consoling them when they do something bad? I used to always preach with whatever group that I had, whether it be from 7th grade and helping out with the middle school tryouts, all the way up to my varsity and my national teams, is I would ask everyone, how long do you think you actually touch a ball in an hour game? And when you think about it, a pass takes less than a tenth of a second, maybe a tenth at most. Setting takes a little bit longer. And roughly doing some math, a setter touches a ball the most, and they probably touch the ball between 10 and 35 seconds in a set.
That's a
What
great
are
point.
what are you doing for the other 59 minutes and 25 seconds or whatever in the match? Because I can coach you, but the things I'm coaching and the skills we're working on is 30 seconds of an hour.
That's such a great point. I actually never really thought of it from a time perspective. And what I've been trying to preach, especially with starting all of this, is let's say when your skills are failing you, or maybe you're not having the best day from a physical perspective, your attitude or your volleyball IQ, or just being a supportive teammate, even if you're on the bench, that's what will save you and get you and your team through that game. And there's so many more things to just skills. If you're only touching the ball a minute out of a whole set or less, which is most likely, then what can you do on the other side of it? So, with you saying that, what is your advice to girls for those other 59 minutes or 58 minutes?
I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but in other forms, fake it till you make it. There's been studies
Mhm.
proven. I don't remember the exact university that did it. It's been years since I've read the study. They told a group of people to walk around and smile all day, just because. And they told a group of people to walk around and frown and pretend to be mad all day. And they placed random people on the paths around the university to bump into them, be irritating, be nice, be comforting. And when they came back, the group that was told to smile, out of the, I think it was 15 occurrences that this study manufactured, the people that smiled talked about 13 positive ones and only 2 or 3 negative ones. The people that came back that they told to be frowned and pretend to be angry all day talked about 10 to 15 negative ones and only 1 or 2 positive ones. Your mindset will guide you to move forward. You may suck. You may be horrible that day. And Lord knows I've had it. I've played in competitive tournaments where I have literally not made a serve over the net. In 3.5 hours of volleyball, I missed every single one of my serves. And that was always a forte of mine. I was always very good at it, and I just couldn't find that stroke. So made it nice and easy, made it nice and simple. But every time I tried to put a competitive serve in play, it sucked. You know what? Cool. All right. My next job is to be able to pass this ball. It's 1 point. 1 point is not going to make or break it, but 1 point can certainly tie into two, tie into three, tie into four, which can be used positively and negatively. I know you've been a part of teams where I've looked at it and where we score 2 or 3 points in a row, and I'll look back at whoever's serving and tap my wrist. Come on, go. Let's put this pressure on. Use timing to be able to help it. Speed it up when you're running and slow it down when you're not. And you can control so many things in pace. Kids are, other than the timeout, what can I do? Is the gym only 8 feet tall? No. Pass the ball higher. Set the ball higher when you need to slow the game down. Take 8 seconds when you had to serve. One of the girls that I told you who was at TS had a horrible serve. And we came up with small little things to have her check out of her head. I would look at her and I would literally count on my fingers so she could see 1, 2, 3, and I would count. And she would, at 6, toss the ball, 7, step forward, 8, bang it in. And her serving percentage, and this was 8 years ago, it increased at least 20, 30% just from those small little things. So your mindset and the things that you want to focus on when you're not touching the ball are going to influence those things that happen when you do touch the ball. Stay positive, stay happy, stay encouraged, stay ready, and let nerves come in. That may sound
Mhm.
weird, but allow yourself to be nervous. If you're nervous, it means something. If you're sitting out there just, yeah, okay, cool, whatever, what you're doing isn't as meaningful as if you're fully engaged and involved in it. And this could be you being on the bench. This could be you being on the court. This could you be a coach who's forgetting that he's squatted for the last hour and literally needs a player to help him stand up because his knees are frozen. I'm raising my hand
That's
because I've
you. Yeah.
been there
I've
before.
seen
I've
yeah.
been legitimately stuck on the floor before. I'm like, I need help. I need help. My knees gave out.
Everything that you just said is you can really manifest your own reality in whatever sport you're in and as an athlete. If you are manifesting all negative things, feelings, emotions towards coaches, other players, playing time, anything in general, skills, it just equates to that. And if you're on the other side, very positive, and even if you're having a rough day, finding the things that helps you 1% more, it makes a huge difference. And you can really manifest how you want the outcome to be for whether it's that point, whether it's that game or match, or whether that's your athletic career in general. Even what you said is when you noticed your players struggling, you were trying to problem solve and help them find a route to make it better. And you said you counted on your hand to help her kind of get out of her head about timing and things in that realm and being able to slow it down. And that's something that coaches sometimes don't realize they have as much of an impact on. Yes, they know that the girls are the ones that are actually physically executing things on the court, but volleyball is more of a mental game than physical game if I could pick for the most part. And from a coach perspective, we have a huge role in helping the players get through those harder moments where their physical skills might be deterring them.
Well, and you spoke to that, and washing hair came to mind. And the story behind that is I had a girl who had a massive high anxiety on the floor, and she would self-deprecate and beat herself up and all this. That. What are you doing? Why are you
Mhm.
doing this? And it turned out as a joke because she would always grab her hair and kind of pull on it and down here, start and pull down here. Why are you washing your hair on the court? Do you not shower during the day? Seriously, this is not the time to bathe. It's one, illegal. Two, it's where there's a sport going on right now, and I just tried to just deflect. So it's something that she was already doing, and her body was manifesting in almost involuntary. And we turned it into something that she could use on the court. So she'd make a mistake. And did you forget to bathe this morning? Wash your hair. Wash your hair right now. And she'd laugh and wash her hair and then get right back into it. So coaches have that. And I think the most important thing, and I have preached this to everything that I've ever been a part of, whether it's teaching, whether it's coaching with my own kids now, is if you don't have that relationship, if you don't come off as genuine, it's not going to be there. I could pretend to be someone that I'm not and say all the exact same things that I do on the court. And kids are smart. Intuition is there. I'm speaking now more to coaches than anything. They're going to know that you're fake. It doesn't matter if your personality matches with them or not. If you are authentically, you are going to build a relationship better. My first year coaching my own team, I was freaking out. So I found a guy who was really smart, great with numbers, helped me keep stats and all this stuff. But the dude couldn't carry a conversation with the group to save his life. And during one tournament, I had a player who was struggling hard. Called a timeout, told my assistant coach, I said, I need you to just keep them all focused. I need to talk to this person. Pulled that player over and started talking to them. And I hear out of the corner of my ear, just the whole team just roar, excited, run back out onto the court. And I walked over, dude, what did you say? I don't know, I blacked out. Right? So I walked down to the next person and said, what did he just say? And he stuttered and said, sports gooder score points more. And he just stuttered it out, but he was overcoming his social anxiety to try to help out with them. And he was doing it in a way that was him. And the girls just loved it. And they went out on the floor and played great and joked around. So sports gooders score points more turned into a fun phrase for that. So every time we'd win, we scored points more.
That's something that coaches are hard on themselves about in general. There is a line where there's no perfect coach out there. And I agree with you. All of my coaches over time, the ones that were the most genuine, yourself and your wife, make you guys stand out so much more and make so much more of an impact on girls. and athletes in general than the ones that are faking it or trying to play by certain politics or rules, whether it's for a high school team or certain club teams. Sometimes coaches try to put themselves in a box of how they're supposed to be. And in reality, I don't think there's any perfect way to coach. It's more so of who you are as a coach and who you are as a person and how that can be a catalyst for your athletes' careers and journeys. And we just sometimes forget that the genuineness, and even if we don't have every single answer, the more that we help them or the more that we lift the mood or make a joke out of something, it really makes an impact to that day, that match, or the future in general versus breaking a clipboard and slamming it on the ground if they make a mistake. I've had that happen before, and you never forget those moments, but then equally, you never forget the positive ones, the ones that you've just shared. So it's very impactful.
It's dangerous and helpful depending on your mindset for both coaches and players
Mhm.
to compare yourself to people. When I first started getting into coaching, I don't know how much you followed women's NCAA volleyball in Penn State, but Russ Rose was the gold standard of
Mhm.
coaching and programs, and Penn State won everything. And they went an entire season with only dropping one set, I think it was, which is just crazy. And he would do nothing but sit there, write on his clipboard, point at people, and that was it. And dude, I tried that one tournament. It was horrible. I couldn't control myself. None of the girls knew what was happening. Now that I've gotten older, I've found a way to incorporate that and put a little bit more on the girls on the floor rather than me being that full blown energy, firework, explosions on the sideline. But in the same way that I had to learn how to make it my own as coaching, yes, there's a certain formula of 4-step approach, 3-step approach, jump serving, setting. Yes, there's this little box that this is what it is. But if you don't fit that box, there's no rule saying you can't edit it to make it your own. Don't look at Alicia Glass, who's one of the winningest high school and college players of all time. You're not going to sell her. Your name is not Alicia Glass. Your name is Kimberly Smith. Your name is Mackenzie George. You are you. So yes, take whatever your coaches is giving you as this form and use that as your base to then improve on for yourself.
The comparison aspect as a coach, a player, and even parents, right? That's a whole other topic in itself. But when there's an expectation from parents to either have their athletes have a specific role similar to somebody else or have that comparison, it just is a really negative aspect to everything. That's in all aspects of life, right? Especially with social media or other aspects. It's hard to almost not compare yourself in certain ways, or maybe where you're at in your life, or I don't know, people measure success in different ways, but the code to that is that everybody is successful in their own ways. I don't think there is one right or wrong. With that, I do want to get into the injury that changed everything for you. I know you mentioned that your worst ankle injury kind of led you to become a setter. And I actually remember you being an incredible setter during our practices and tryouts in general and fulfilling that role seamlessly. But so tell me about that moment and both the physical and mental shift of how that impacted you.
So I was playing, this was actually right as I was wholeheartedly and full-fledged focusing on marathon running professionally. This was 3 weeks before the Freak, where if I could have met a 2:48 or below marathon, Saucony would have signed me to a professional contract. Went and played volleyball. I was hitting outside. I was in shape. I was 20s, invincible, no problems. Went up to go hit, I lost balance, and I came through, and my toe landed on one side of his foot. And I rolled over to the other, and my foot was pointing directly behind me. It didn't roll sideways, it rolled straight back. My wife was playing on the court next to us and heard the pop and came running over. Being young and there, I was, I'll be fine, I'll be okay. Rested for a little bit, and I had run to the open gym, which was 3.5 miles. So I ran there to get some little running practice in. So I had to try to find a ride home. I'll just wrap it tonight. It'll be okay. I've rolled ankles before. Woke up the next morning and my ankle was bigger around than my calf was. Not good. I had bruising about halfway up my calf at that point. Went in to have it looked at, and they said that nothing was broken bone wise, but that they couldn't see or find any of my tendons because there was so much swelling, so much bruising. I don't know if it's attached. I don't know where it's at. And I was in between insurances at the time. So getting everything at a doctor would have cost me $15,000, $20,000. And I didn't have that at that point. So I had friends that were PTs, friends that were trainers, and worked with them about it. And it took a good 13 months till I was back competitively playing. 8 months in, I was messing around on the floor, on the court, just serving and then letting somebody else go in and play. But it was a little over a year before I was back competitively playing and went to go into an open gym. And after 5 hours, my ankle is killing me. And I couldn't jump. I didn't have the height. I didn't have the explosive that I had before, and got asked by a buddy of mine to play in a force tournament on outdoors grass. And I don't know if I want a chance jumping on grass that much. He's like, we need a setter. Okay, I'll try it. Fell in love with it. I was, man, I control everything on this court. If I don't want you to hit, you're not going to hit. If I want this guy to hit, I'm going to let him hit. And so I just kind of fell into that role and then started playing and not really training there because I was still coaching. I was still going to school, but I would just jump into more open gyms and open level tournaments and started setting more and found out that I loved it and I was actually pretty decent at it.
It's funny how I hate to say it this way, but I feel everything weirdly happens for a reason to a point. Not that I'd obviously want you injured or anybody injured, but it's if that didn't happen, you would know to a point of how big of a role setters have. But until you fill a specific role or position, then you're, wow, these are the things I can control, can't control. These are the things that, looking from an outside perspective, my teammates have been working on or doing. And injuries are super tough in sports in general. I personally believe that we are not, especially while you're in grade school, kind of gearing up to go to college, unless you have coaches who are really in tune with the proper ways to hit, the proper ways for footwork, the proper ways to prepare your body for how strenuous the sports are, whether it's a freak accident or whether it's a repetitive motion that causes some sort of injury or harm that happens so often. And for me, I had something similar where I was at nationals at Michigan State and we were at the national tournament and one of my teammates let a ball roll under my foot during warm-ups of one of our games. That feeling of that being out of my control and the fact that it wasn't even during a game and just the whole situation of it was so depressing for me, but also I was determined to try to, you said, I'll be fine. I'll wrap it up, get some ice, and then you have to get a reality check of how it's
Yep.
impacting you. So it's frustrating. And as volleyball players, especially our knees, our ankles, our shoulders, our backs, where every single joint of ours is impacted all the time on top of even if something specifically happened from an injury standpoint. But then you also have this determination to still want to play through or maybe play a little bit sooner than we should and things like that. But it also gives other opportunities to still be a part of a team or program, even if you're unable to physically execute the skills. For any listeners, even if you do have something of a setback as an injury or anything in that realm, you're still able to be a part of a team and you still deserve to be a part of a team. There are ways to come back from that and fulfill a different role in your team, even if it's physically not on the court. But I did want to ask you, what was harder for you during that time? Was it a physical recovery or was it learning the new position of maybe setting and taking that role on sooner versus accepting that you're not going to be hitting as much, given that you left hitting prior? Or
The coaching helped because I still had the ability to hit. I wasn't nearly hitting at the level that I was at, but I still had that ability to hit. I found ways to still do that. The hardest part of it was watching and not being able to go do the things that I wanted to do, whether it be sitting on the sideline and popping up off the chair, because I had to be careful. My foot was wrapped. It was not hard casted. I didn't have that stuff. So that was the hardest side of it, is mentally staying aware of things that I need to do. And then one of my best friends now is an athletic trainer. And that's the thing he battles the most with. And even with me now, he'll, oh, how's that feel? How's that feel when I hurt myself? And I'm, oh, it hurts. He goes, you went and played again, didn't you? Yep. He goes, I told you, you're not 20, you're not 15, you're not a teenager anymore. You're an old man. You need to settle these things down. Keeping that drive, that desire to go do these things. You're not going to do anyone any favors if you perform injured. I had a libero one year, phenomenal libero. I've been blessed, and I don't know who decided to give me this blessing, but thank you very much. In 8 years of high school coaching, I've only had 3 liberos. So phenomenal players all the way around. And one of the days that we were at a tournament, she dove and her head hit the floor and she stood up and she's, oh, I'm good, I'm good. And the ref didn't see it, immediately called the next point, and she tried to take a step and just lost balance and then literally just headbutted the floor straight down. Oh, I'm good. Absolutely not. Sit down. You are, and I jokingly say this because I built that relationship. I looked at her and you are useless to me if you don't know which way is up. I need you to come back. I need you to settle down. I'd rather lose you for a game, a match, a tournament, a season than you lose anything for your career. It is not worth it. And part of the reason my ankle took 13 months is because I did not take my own advice. I rushed things. I pushed things. I was like, yeah, I can do this. And I would push up until the point of pain rather than up to the point of being sore and improvement. So listen to your PTs, listen to your doctors. If it's
Don't
worth
be an
doing it,
Andy.
do not be an Andy.
A lot of athletes get that because what is instilled in us as we grow up through sports in general, it is that drive, it's that determination, it is winning, it is that kill. We just forget about the big picture sometimes versus what we want to do in that moment or execute in that moment. We do have to be cautious of reminding ourselves the bigger picture and taking a step back and
Yeah.
thinking, okay, I can play again, especially next season if I rest now versus making it worse now and then not being able to play next year. I know Heather kind of helped influence you and transition you into coaching. And I feel probably this setback maybe also assisted in you accepting a coaching route versus maybe more of a professional volleyball route. So you have said that she's your volleyball role model. You always wanted to be a better coach than her. What did she see that made her think, okay, Andy can be a coach? And how did you guys navigate that initial dynamic of coaching?
I ran into her while I was at Wayne State. I had one of her roommates in class, and she will tell you otherwise. I will tell you the true story. Her friend said that, oh, I wonder what we're having for dinner tonight. I had mentioned what we were having, and she's, I think my roommate's making tacos. Tacos do sound good. I tacos. Apparently, that meant invite me over for food because they invited me over for dinner. Heather was running out the door to go to practice at Wayne State. Oh, I love playing volleyball. And this is when I was still playing at the YMCA, just starting at Michigan Elite. So we started talking and she's, oh, I coach. And I'm, that's all. That's awesome. And then she said her dad played at Ohio State, junior USAV teams, national teams, and all this and that. So we started all chatting and I went to one of their games and I sat in the stands with her dad. And when mistakes started happening out on the floor at the college level, started just making little motions and this and that. And afterwards, when we were in the parking lot, he was talking to her and I was talking to her mom. And she came up and she's, would you want to coach with me? I've got a season that's starting up and I'd some help coaching. It was the coolest thing ever. Oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. Come to find out, her dad was telling her that I was making all of these comments and they were the right things to do in that situation. So you might want to grab this one, teach him how to coach and let him go. And
And maybe
then
make him my son-in-law down the road. But yeah,
yeah, that came much later. I assistant coached with her for 2 years seamlessly. The third years we started butting heads because I was at that point where I was ready to take a team. And she told me, and I remember during one tournament, don't remember which one it was. I think it might have been States, the second to last tournament of the year. And she looked at me and she said, we are not coaching together next year. I can't do this. You need your own team. And and then so I got nervous even right then and there and took a step back. And then the more I thought about it, the more I got into it. And then I found my assistant coach, somebody to be out on the floor with me. But I still remember my first club tournament. It was in Grand Rapids area. We were at one of the far out facilities, and they have a beach court that they put a hard piece of wood over and sport court over the top. And that was the court that we were playing on. And I was in the morning. She was in the afternoon. She's, I'll stick around and wait with you. You'll sit on my bench. And she's, no, I'll sit and watch and I'll be there to make sure that you don't mess it up. And before I knew it, we were 3-0 that day, 6-0 in sets, and she wasn't there at all. She just kind of left, and I didn't even notice her leave, and just kind of thing kind of seamlessly went from there. So I finished up. We went to go join her, and started talking to her, and she's, oh, we lost our first one. And that's where the competition started, because I was in my head, I'm like, I didn't lose today. And from then on out, I wanted to be better than her, and I want that to be in all my players, in my kids. I want my kids to be better than I am. I want my players to be better than me. Don't look at me as some got up on a pedestal. I'm not that good. And even if I was, I shouldn't be viewed that way. Don't look at somebody as intimidating. I can't tell you the amount of teams that we played against. One year we had a team, man, they were just, all of them were just mean. They were just all athletes and they were all mean. And we played at districts. We played Troy when J. Rob and Franny were both hitting there. Both their outside hitters went D1. One went to Florida State and one went to Michigan. And they're just bombing balls. Why are you guys scared? I jump that high. I hit that hard, and you guys laugh at me when I dig it. Go out there and go do the same. And it changed that mentality where we weren't as good. We didn't have the athletes that they did, but we lost 17-15 in the fifth to a team that was better than us just because we weren't scared. Go have that mentality. You were saying athletes just want to compete. Go compete.
That's so true, especially as a coach. Yes, winning and losing is what it is to a point. Obviously, we always want to win and we have that mentality. It's instilled in you as an athlete, but don't allow other teams to minimize your skill set, your mental strength. There's been times where, yeah, I maybe played a team immediately in our heads before even going into the match. We were, oh, we know we're going to lose this. Or you already have this kind of mental model of either their record versus your record or the schools that you beat before or you lost to before and how the other teams, your competitors, have played against those other teams. Every match is a new match. Every set's a new set. Every point's a new point. I firmly believe that any team can beat any team. About the team chemistry, the team dynamic, and making each other feel more confident, we just focus so much on.
I had an 18s team, and our tallest girl was 5'7". And on our sheet right here, we went 26-16 that year at eight and playing 18. And all we did
Amazing.
is serve, play defense, and make the other team angry.
Make the other team make the mistakes.
We made the other team play better than they were because they couldn't score points on us otherwise. There were teams that they were bigger, they were taller, they were stronger, and they beat us, but there wasn't any team that walked us. We went out and we controlled what we controlled. It's already 900 square feet on your side of the court. If you worry about what's happening on the other side of it, now you're worrying about 1,800 square feet. And now if you worry about what the parents are saying, that's all the way around now. So now you're adding another 1,800 square feet. Now you're looking at 3,600 square feet. And then I'm going to play the winner of that match. Now you're looking at another court, another set of teams, and another set of parents. And now you're looking at 7,200 square feet that you're worrying about instead of just worrying about your 900 square feet. 6 people can cover 900 square feet pretty easy. I like that ratio. 6 people cannot cover 7,200 square feet. 10 people, 12 people can't cover 7,200 square feet and worry about all that. Worry about what's going on right now with you.
That's such a good analogy. Whether it's a parent worrying about something, that one parent can't worry about everything that's going on in the court, all the dynamics, all the things that the coaches or players are thinking of. And there's so many factors to this, even when you get to, let's say, athletic directors or club directors. How many feet is that?
I graduated high school having zero clue what I wanted to do with my life. I had no idea. I graduated twice from community college with 3 degrees before I figured out what I wanted to do. And you know what? That was okay. It's a lot of money. It was a lot of debt. It was a lot of mistakes that I made, but it happens. Life is going to kick you in the face. Life is going to punch you. Life is going to knock you down. And it's a horrible analogy that you hear used way too often, but it doesn't matter what happens. It's what you're going to do to get up. This isn't just players. This isn't just parents. This is anyone that I come in contact with that I try to preach to people. Make as many mistakes as you can in life. Make all of them. Make all of them every day, because making mistakes means you are putting yourself into a situation to try. The only thing that you should not be able to do is make failures. I can count on one hand how many failures I have made in my life. And I remember them. They haunt me. I hate them. And they encourage me not to do it again. But we cannot be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are golden learning opportunities, because if you make a mistake, you are putting yourself in a situation to try.
More people need to think that way. The things that I've gotten the most from my life were the times that mistakes happen. You said you can't be perfect or successful 24/7 for every single day of your life. And that's just something that I feel us as humans, we have to accept, or else we wouldn't be humans. It's really helpful to hear that, because a lot of people don't realize, okay, they can get 3 degrees from a community college. And yes, did you get degrees? Yes. Did you learn something from that experience? Yes. But people feel it's all or nothing, right? You have to do this path or you have to do this path. And those are the only ways you can be successful or happy in your life. And that's not true. You don't have to get a degree to be happy. You don't have to go to a big school or play a sport in college or find your dream job right out of college. There's many people out there that probably still haven't found what they want to do for the rest of their lives. It's that expectation that we have that isn't realistic. What is your definition between mistakes versus failure?
What I do for myself and the way that I wholeheartedly define it is a mistake is something you've done wrong. No matter what it is. It could be speeding, getting pulled over and having a ticket. It could be not putting something away and you trip and roll your ankle because that was 20 minutes ago that my kid forgot to clean something up. I'm like, I'll let him get it when he gets home. And I stepped on his Hot Wheels cars and twisted my ankle just a little bit. It could be something as simple as that. A failure in my mind is making the same mistake again without trying something new. You could, and to relate it to volleyball right now, as an outside hitter, you could hit a ball 30 feet out of bounds. And the very next play, you hit a ball 30 feet out of bounds. But if you tried to make a change, it is just a new mistake. It is not a failure. You are trying to do something new. It is another mistake. But now if this the third time, you do the exact same thing as you did the first or the second time and still sail at 30 feet out of bounds, now we're starting to get into what's a failure moment. Check yourself out of that. Try something new. The first thing you try is not always going to work. Very rarely will the first thing you ever try work. You've got to be willing to put the work in to truly make a difference. In one of my first years teaching a class by myself, I was at a school, DPS alternative school, not a great environment. I was there for 3 years and I had the fourth most seniority of the teachers in the entire school. The 3 years I was there, there was 8 principals in the 3 years. So not a great environment. That place and those kids will always still have a soft spot in my heart. But I told the kids that you are going to make mistakes. You are going to fall into old habits. We did a little bit of research, and I might be getting my things backwards. But the fact is that it worked. I told the kids breaking a habit takes 7 days. Learning a new habit takes 21 days. Learning a new habit is 3 times as hard as breaking an old one. But that needs to be 7 straight days. That needs to be 21 straight days. And it doesn't have to be necessarily days, because if I swing, I need to break a habit 7 times without doing something. I need to then do it 21 times before it works. And that's not just 21 times, oh, it's not working. I have to do it 21 times the right way. So I need to do something and practice something 3 times as long to change something before I see those results. So it's a way to look at a kid. Yes, it's hard work. Yes, it's long. Yes, it's arduous. But you said when you get that perfect kill, when you get that ace serve, when everything just clicks. And me talking to it right now, I'm not sure if anyone can see or hear or know the kind of the excitement getting in my voice. My hairs are standing on end, arms and legs, just remembering some of those moments when things clicked for me. The first time I learned how to hit down the line, or I learned how to set a shoot ball, or I learned how to jump float and make it move, or jump top serve and make it dip or hook. I still remember those moments. They were yesterday. I still remember where I was, what court I was on, who I was playing with, just because I know that I worked so hard to get there. So put in that hard work, put in the long days, set yourself up for mistakes. And when it finally all clicks, there's no better feeling in the world. I still try to apply it to myself, even though I have a 4.5-year-old. I still consider myself a new dad. And how fast they're learning and things that are going on. Man, I make so many mistakes with those 2 kids, unbelievable amounts of them. But I'm learning the same way that they are.
Yeah, you're learning with them. From their perspective, it's just learning and growth for themselves.
I'm sure once
Yeah.
they're teenagers, they'll view otherwise, but into the bridge when we cross it.
Yeah, thankfully, we're not there yet. We'll redo another podcast when that time comes, and then we'll see how much life changes then.
We'll have to do it before and after and see how much gray has come into my beard and hair.
So speaking of your kids, they're 4 and 3
Yeah.
approximately, and they're already having volleyball into their lives.
My older one is Aiden. My younger one is Luca. Aiden, when he was January, it was that summer. So he was 6 months. The first time I brought him into a gym for volleyball, my wife couldn't have him. Daycare didn't have power. My parents were out of town. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm taking him to conditioning. And there's a picture that I have upstairs of him sitting in the ball cart and just laughing, just loving it. We turned it into one of the things he did. We turned it into a conditioning drill and he would just love just throwing volleyballs out of the cart. And so it was teams of 2 And it's how fast can you get all the balls into the cart as Aiden's throwing them out of there. And so the girls competed all against each other to see how fast they could get all the balls in the cart while he's just picking them up and chucking and just having a blast, just throwing the balls out of the cart. So it turned into a fun team conditioning drill. One of the days that I went to just a party and there was a volleyball court. My wife came, my two kids came. Luca was 2 months and Aiden was just over a year and a half. And he just picked up a volleyball, put his hands together, and just started just bang, just hitting it up in the air. And one of the guys that was there was, whose kid is this? That's mine. He's like, that makes sense. And when we left that party, he knew how to open hand, put one hand in the other, touch the thumbs together, straight elbows, and was passing balls. Had no timing whatsoever, but was passing balls. They still come to games and they scream, "Go Daddy, go Players, yay." One of the parents got fat heads for all the seniors one year and got me a fat head. And so I've got a picture of my kids waving a fat
Oh,
head of me up in the stand. So they've grown up in volleyball and they love it. They'll pass it. My older one is 100% a lefty and will toss the ball up, take a hard aggressive step, and then swing and try to serve it. He goes, "Look, I can serve," and hit the ball. So it's really cool to still see that even when I'm not around it and know that something I'm doing is influencing somebody else is really sweet to see.
that's amazing. It is crazy because at their ages, especially you said they're picking up so much so quick. And especially as a dad, mom and son relationships are amazing too, but a dad to son relationship, they're looking up to you in so many ways because they want to fill their dad's footsteps. They want to be just dad. That really speaks who you are as a coach, player, parent, but also, how you're already influencing, helping your kids.
I'm just a little kid they are. The only reason people listen to me is I'm just as mature as the high school kids or my own too.
No, it goes to the genuineness and relatability and your impact. One topic that I do want to touch on, and I feel this topic can be a little sensitive in some ways, but I don't think these types of things are talked about enough. And that comes to player safety, I would say, and dynamics that can occur when it comes to standing up for either it's your players or whether you're a player and it's your teammates. Sometimes there's not the best dynamics in general in sports, whether that's from a power dynamic level where there's a seniority aspect, again, a referee, coach, athletic director aspect, or if it's even just teammates on the same team that are seeing bullying issues or going against school or club policies in general. And so I know you are the type of person, but also coach to stand up for your girls or your players and also the people you love, the people you care about. So would you be willing to walk me through the moment where you've had to take a step in for your players and put yourself in the way to insulate the situation and protect from a coaching perspective?
So I've got two that come to mind. One that was in club, one that was in high school. One you said involved the ref, one involved the parent. The one that involved a ref, we were in Grand Rapids at States. So we called it the competition. And a play happened. I was talking to a player on the bench and the ref made a call and I didn't know what the ref was called. So I asked my captain, who was the libero, to walk over to the ref and hey, ask what happened because the down ref didn't know. It was a coach at the time. And he blew for a serve as she was walking over trying to get his attention. We lost that point and I started waving my hands, jumping up and down, trying to get his attention. And I pointed at my player and I pointed up at him. And he looked at her and kind of wagged his finger. And as she got over, he bent over the side of the reffing stand and used all four of his fingers and started pointing at her and got within 6, 8 inches of her face. And at that point, it didn't matter what he was saying. That's not something you're going to do to a 16-year-old girl. So I took 2 steps out, said, "Oh, heck no." A little bit different because I'm not going to support that. And he looked at me and he said, "Back up, coach." I said, "You're not going to do that to my player. I don't care what you want to say to me." Gave me a yellow card. And I said, "It's going to take a lot more than that for me to not support my players and not stick up for them. You can give me the red and I'm still going to come over there and talk to you about this." Told her to go away. Went and talked to the ref. She's, "I'm going to red card you. Go ahead." And I said, "I'm going to stop this game." And we wouldn't stop. We found the head official. Parents on both sides supported the story. And the ref was asked to leave the court. And from there, I don't know what happened. But the head official did talk to me about, "Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that." And one of the parents afterwards said that if you didn't step out there, I was going to step out there because that's not something I'm going to be okay about. And I hold no ill will towards people. I'll get frustrated. I get angry. I'm a hot-blooded
Mhm.
Sicilian. I'll be the first person to admit it. But the moment afterwards, I'm cool with you. If you can admit a mistake, because I'm the same way. If I can admit a mistake, I can admit a mistake. We're going to grow from it. Unfortunately, did not get a chance to be able to talk to that ref again to see what went through his head. On the flip side of things, for the school side and not a ref, we had a JV and freshman game going on at the same time at our home gym. Varsity players were line judging. The game ended in the third set with our varsity player calling the ball out of bounds. Our JV team won. I didn't see this happen, and I just heard about this happen to a player from a player afterwards. A parent came out of the stands, got in my varsity player's face, and told her along the lines of, "You only made that call because you didn't want to see your JV team lose. You shouldn't be there. Players aren't worth having out on the court," and several things that once I found out about it, that I went to the opponent's varsity coach and I said, "We will not be playing our game with that person in this gym. This is what I heard that happened. This is what I want to see happen." And to that coach's defense, in a heartbeat, she's, "No question, I'll be right back." Came back and said that parent's been escorted out of the building. They're going to go wait in their car. Is that okay? Their other daughters on the varsity team. That's fine. I'm not going to take a ride home from a girl, but he will not be in this gym. The very next year, we were at their gym, and I had never seen the parent that had been kicked out. I didn't see any of the situation that happened. She just said it was handled. The player said that parent's not in there. I had a parent come up to me as we came in, and he said, "Hey, I was the dad that you kicked out last year." And he goes, "Is that player still here?" I said, "No, she was a senior last year." And he goes, "Please extend my condolences from me to her.
God.
That's not how I should handle myself. That's not how things should be." And him and I were perfectly cool with that. Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Handled it. Got adult maturity. Mistakes happen, and he moved on from it.
Wow. That's important because in sports, things can get very heated. There's so many factors that things can happen. And there is
Yep.
a line where you have to, as a coach, you have to protect your players. And even if it's something that that person could look back on and apologize for in their lives outside of sports as well, forgiveness is always something that provide. We might not forget about the situation, but it's something that if people are willing to acknowledge what they did, hold accountability. Unfortunately, it was a year later. There's a lot of power dynamics in certain school districts, right? Or certain clubs where they might not feel as comfortable in speaking up about something or standing your ground to protect others. I just hope these stories to all the listeners empower you to say something if you do see something, because
100%.
there have been plenty of times in my athletic career in general, not just volleyball, where things went on for too long or occurrences happened and it was just brushed under the rug or nobody really wanted to, I don't know the best way to say it, but I guess deal with it. And at the end of the day, in sports, it's our responsibility as coaches. It's your responsibility as a teammate. It's your responsibility as a parent to understand that you sometimes have to put your concerns, retaliation, things that could happen aside and actually speak up. Long term, that probably also helps your players feel safe and protected in their environment. I know you said there was a time where you told your team that maybe they were stronger than you would have been in a certain situation in general. So, how did they respond when you said that?
Oh, yeah. During a game, we had what I felt were bad calls. There was one of the refs. It was her first ever match. She was still learning the rules. The offense and the system that we ran was very fast paced. It was very hard to keep track of, and she wasn't able to keep track of the game. And so a lot of calls were being made against it, and I was starting to get frustrated because the girls were playing phenomenally. And so they make a call, and I came up and I had a captain ask me to call a timeout because she wanted to say something. And I try to empower my teams as much as possible. This isn't Andy Stepp's team. This is the varsity team. This is the club team. This is the national team. This is our team. Your voice has just as much value as mine if you want to make it as valuable as mine. I'm not going to tell you and sit there. You have to start talking. But if you want to have that voice, if you want to have that buy-in, then by all means, I'm going to give you the stage. I'm going to give it to you. So I called a timeout, and she looked at me and just went like this and put her finger over her lips. "I want to talk." "Okay, you do your thing." And she's, "Right now, we are not getting the fair treatment that we need to make sure that we take care of business on what we need to. We need to make sure that we follow in what needs to be done. We need to make sure that we take care of what we can control. We cannot control that. Our job is this 900 square feet. Our coach's job is what's outside of that." And then, okay, yeah, go. And she was my captain for 2 years. So I had a very good relationship with her. She was my first year at the school. So I'd known her since seventh grade. And she looked at me and she mouthed, "Will you please shut up?" to me. And I said, you know what? Absolutely. And they won the set and they came back and I said, you know what? You guys are stronger than I was in that moment. And that's okay. Sometimes it's going to have to be both ways to look for support. You guys just don't need to look to the sidelines all the time. And I run things and I support things. And that moment also helped me realize that I can relinquish some power, that I can fully relinquish it, not just be, yeah, your voice, your thing, this, that. I took that as okay, I know what I did as well. I know what I've taught you is good. My instincts were great. Go do your thing. It was a humbling moment for myself and a teaching moment that I can still learn. So even though I've been coaching national level teams and varsity teams for 10, 15 years now, I can still learn.
Yeah. That's what we have to remind ourselves as coaches. I would advise players to maybe not tell your coach to shut up, but at the same time, when you
Yep.
have one that you know you can be transparent with and that really is genuine and cares about you, there is constructive feedback that you don't have to only receive as a player. You should be
Yes.
able to safely give
Yes.
to your coach as well.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't do that. And the coaches that can't take that feedback in an equivalent manner as they give it, then that's a little bit of a red flag, in my opinion.
No one should be too good to learn.
I agree. I agree. I do want to get into a difficult conversation about cutting
Here we go.
players, tough decisions, things in that realm. You tell every player to come talk to you, whether they make the team or get cut, why that conversation is important to you. But then also, how do you navigate those difficult conversations and decisions in general as a coach?
Yeah, I've had since day one of coaching a varsity program, even from the middle school, which I don't coach either of those teams, the freshman team, which I don't coach, the JV team, which I don't coach. I tell every single player, when you find out whether you've made a team or not, I want you to come talk to me. I want you to come tell me what your thoughts are. And my thought behind that was when I was in high school, I was not the best athlete ever for cross country. And I'm not sure if any of the listeners are aware, but top seven of varsity, top 5 point places count. 6 and 7 are only if there's a tie. I was in our number 6 runner, so I was just good enough to not count. I did wrestling, not the greatest wrestler ever. I was actually rather horrible about that, but I wanted to do something that was very physically challenging. I ended up doing swimming. Swimming is the same as track. We're top 3 are varsity. Everybody else is JV. I was our school's number 4, 100 breast. I was our school's number 4, 100-meter freestyle. I was our school's number 4, 50-meter freestyle. I was our school's number 4, 800 runner. I was our school's number 4 miler. I was our school's number 4, 2 miler. I was literally just good enough to never count for anything my entire high school career. And I got overlooked a lot and not talked about a lot, not given credit a lot. And by a lot, very rarely ever. At the end of my senior year, and I still have this. I leave it on my desk at work, and all it is just a foot on top of a rock. And now I'm tearing up a little, honestly, because this kind of influenced the way that I still try to carry myself. My cross country coach gave me a trophy and said no words. And it said, "The race sometimes not goes to the winner, but those that keep running." He didn't have to say anything. I knew what he meant. I pushed every runner in front of me to not lose to me because they would lose their spot. And that's the way that I want to look at it. So when a player gets cut, I talk to him. Hey, you made the player in front of you better. You made that bench player better. You made that player out there try to compete harder because of what you did. And you know what? In the moment, most of them don't believe me because in middle school, it's emotional. You're not going to be with your friends anymore. Or in high school, everybody thinks it's kind of a preconceived thing, and somebody comes up and takes a senior spot and you cut a senior. I've had to cut a senior before. It's a horrible conversation to have, but we build programs. We build competitive teams. Now I'm losing my train of thought here, trying to do
Mhm.
everything. But when I cut somebody, I always flat out tell them, I need practice players. I need help. I need stats. If this game is that important to you, you are welcome to be a part of it. I'm not going to close a door and lock it on you. I'm going to give you a new opportunity. And that's why I want every single player to come talk to me. And at middle school tryouts, we've had 60 girls try out for 2 teams. And when you only keep 15, 16 per team, you're cutting 20, 30 girls. So that's 20, 30 conversations that I want to make sure that I have. One, selfishly, because I want to be able to bring as many girls back as possible. Two, that's what I would want. I would want somebody to have that conversation with me. I would want to know that the time that I put out there just wasn't overlooked. And then I also talked to every girl about what's something that the coach said, the reason why you didn't make the team. Okay, are you interested in trying to fix that? Yes, cool. Here's my thoughts. Here's my ideas. Here's things that you can do. Here's YouTube videos that you can look at. Here's at home practice drills that you can do. So I try to have the conversation with the girl to be able to open a door for them to be able to do something that they need. I want to bring up lessons beyond volleyball. You can learn so much from things. I want to try to open as many doors as possible for people. And I will always tell kids that I will do everything that I can to, and we'll use a hiking or running analogy. I will do everything I can to give you the shoes. I will give you the socks. I will give you the shorts. I will give you the shirt. I will literally pave a path for you. But if you don't do it, it ain't happening. I will do all the prep work. I will do everything that I can for you. But when it comes to the grind time, I'll be right behind you. I will not be out in front of you doing it for you.
I think everything you said is extremely moving and it's relatable to so many people. And they probably feel they're alone in all of that, and they're not. It's easy to feel overlooked in certain sports and group settings. And as coaches, what kills me the most is definitely cutting players that have either worked hard to get something, are a senior, and that is ending their volleyball career journey or athletic journey as they know it. But at the same time, it says a lot about you as a coach that you're able to offer other opportunities. I have been reached out to by various coaches, players, parents about how some coaches handle certain tryout dynamics and cutting dynamics. And if there's a truly good athlete or person or teammate, especially, and they still want to be a part of a team, it's so difficult for me to understand the concept of not giving them an opportunity. You said you need the numbers, you need the stats, you maybe need a team manager, you maybe need somebody to throw balls during practice. And if they're up for those situations and still want to be a part of that team, be a part of that program, that is life changing. It's changing that year for them still without having to stop being with their friends or stop being a part of a program that they maybe were part of for a few years. I know that I've had some friends who have had pretty bad injuries before the season or the season before, and they knew they were not going to be able to play that following season, but maybe haven't gotten their varsity letter yet. And there were ways that I know some of my coaches were able to give them options to still get that varsity letter, to still have that team dynamic. It's extremely devastating, no matter what level you are, right? Whether you're a seventh grader trying out for the first time, whether you're going for varsity, whether you're maybe between the JV and varsity dynamic, which is super hard as well. It's so hard to just lose something in the split of a moment, whether it's a 1-day tryout, a 3-day tryout. It's the fact that it's leading up to this one point that is going to change what you're going to be doing after school every day. It's going to be changing who you're spending most of your time with and what your priorities are. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason. But at the end of the day, at the same time, again, it goes back to manifesting our own reality. And to everybody listening right now, let's say you aren't making a team that you wanted to, me and Andy both highly recommend you to have that open communication with your coach. If they're not going out of their way to say, come to me after tryouts, I want to talk to every girl, go out of your way and do so and explain your piece of it and your part, how your heart is attached to the sport and your passion for it. There's so many avenues that you can have to still be a part of it without being the starting middle or the starting libero or even a bench player. There's many options. And as coaches, also on that side of things, it's our responsibility to create those avenues. I really appreciate you sharing, Andy, your side of it, because a lot of people will be able to relate to it. But I appreciate you from a coaching perspective to give girls that opportunity and chance to have those conversations that might not be the most fun. But again, it goes back to your character and the genuineness as a coach.
Yeah, passion should never be put out.
Yep. I do know that 5 of your former players are now
Yeah.
coaches from what you've told me, including probably myself as one of them. But what's it watching from the sidelines, even when you've had to take breaks from coaching? How hard is that stepping away?
It's a proud dad moment. As weird as that sounds, I did that. I built that. It's
Yeah.
like a happy moment hearing the conversations my former players as coaches have with kids. And I do have to say that number is now 8, not 5. I just finished my boys season and 2 of the boys are now coaching club. And one of the other girls decided now to start coaching high school and club. It is such a cool experience to see others having fun doing what you're doing, seeing somebody else enjoy what you enjoy. I will say that I did have to coach against one of my former players, and I have never wanted to beat somebody so bad in my life. That was a really interesting experience. And I didn't want to put any extra pressure on the team. So I told them after we won, I said, I coached that coach when she was a player. So if you guys would have lost, man, tomorrow's practice would have been horrible.
One time, I forget what tournament we were at, but I remember because I was coaching at Walled Lake Western. I was the
Yeah,
assistant varsity coach, and I think we played each other.
it was at Adams, at the Adams
Yes.
quad at the beginning of the year.
It was so cool to be able to run into you and have that kind of dynamic.
It's
So
a really cool conversation, and it's fantastic to see the next generation and the game grow. And I've even seen some of my former players that are now refs, and that's really cool. I luckily have never had any of my former players as a ref. I don't know how I would handle that interaction, especially if I felt like I made a bad call. I don't know how well I could keep that I know you joke professional and wait till after the game. So I'm glad I've never had to have that experience.
I do have 2 or 3 close-up
Yeah,
questions. Back on coaching with Heather and the competitiveness, I'm sure there's plenty of coaches out there that have a similar dynamic, coaching with their significant other, whether it's on the same team, the same club, having that same passion in general. What is your advice to coaches out there that maybe coach with their significant other in one way or another? What was the best thing and then maybe the not best thing of doing so?
I think the biggest thing, and I don't know whether I was just lucky or ignorant to the fact, but there needs to be a hard line between when you're coaching and you're working and when you're not. Heather and I would not talk volleyball practices coaching unless we were driving out to practice and we had 45, 50-minute drive out there. So we had time to be able to talk about it and then talk on the way home. But once we got home, work was done. We no longer had those conversations. We didn't push outside of that. We didn't let it affect us at all. And there were times where she would have a really bad day, I would have a really good day, and I would want to share that with her, but we weren't in the same headspace. It helped phenomenally where we gave ourselves the car ride rule, where we could talk 50 minutes before, we could talk 50 minutes after, and then once that happened, it was her and I. It wasn't coaching. It wasn't volleyball. It was her and I time. And I think us coaching and being together for so long, because we coached together for 3 years and then together but with separate teams for another 5 years, and never got old and never got tiring and never got worrisome. And I think it's because when we went to tournaments that were out of state, we still planned something that was for us, something special that was our time. We had that car ride rule where we would do 50 minutes, an hour, and then it's okay. Where do you want to go for dinner? What do you want to do? And we had our time and we kept that sacred. And there were always times where parents would be, oh, we're all going out to here. Let's come out for dinner. And we would go out and the parents are, oh, what happened here and what happened there? And would want to talk tournament. And that would be our car ride time.
That's important in general, whether you are coaching or not, for the work-life balance aspect. It's hard when you're only talking about work, no matter what it is with a significant other. Everybody needs that boundary in life of work and then outside of work. It's work doesn't drive our lives. And with volleyball, especially, you're spending your evenings, weekends. That is all of your other free time outside of most likely you having a normal day-to-day job on top of it. There's so much there that boundaries. You said having the car ride rule of that's your guys' time to talk about that. You said you might want to talk about this, but then Heather does want to talk about that, or vice versa. And that goes universally for everybody, no matter what career path you have, whether you're at the same company, whether you're coaching at together or coaching at a same club. So that's really great advice how to handle that.
There's been days where I don't want to talk about it. Heather doesn't
Mhm.
want to talk about it, but it's healthy to get it out. And so we force ourselves to have that time. It's a chance to get things out, to let things go, to not have to stress or worry. There's no right blueprint. You're going to make mistakes. There are times that I've blown up at my kids for small little tiny things, laughing too loud. That's ridiculous. And I've done it. I've yelled at them for laughing too loud before. And it's because I held on to something. And I go to them, and even at 4 years old, you know what? I'm sorry, daddy's sorry. He should not have yelled at you that. Are you okay? Yeah. Do you want a hug? And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no. And you know what? That's cool. It's being able to admit our mistakes. It's being able to do what we can to be a better person now
Yeah.
than we were a minute ago, a second ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it is. As long as we are striving for what is next, you should not fault yourself.
I agree. That goes with being human too. The accountability and understanding, and that's the beauty of it. We're not robots, we're not perfect. My last question to you. So I feel like we've talked about amazing topics. I'm so excited to post this. It's going to help so many people in so many different ways. So out of everything, what do you want either young players or coaches listening to this today just to take from your story or your experiences?
This is me being open and vulnerable. As I've gone through my life, I have struggled, I've succeeded, I've forgotten, I've remembered, I have done all of these things. And in 10 minutes from now, or 20 minutes from now, or even tomorrow, I'm going to say, man, I should have said this. And it's this glowing, perfect sum up of everything. And you don't always have to have the right answer. You don't always have to be perfect. You don't always have to be anything but who you are. If you love who you are, be that person. Don't change it for someone. Change it for you because you want to. Grow something for you because you want to. If you want to be better, cool. Push to be better. If you are happy with where you're at, then be happy. There is no rule saying that I have to live up to somebody else's standard. There's no rule that says I can't do something my own way. Just go be you. Live the life that you want to live. And if you want to live a life that you can't afford, or you're living a life at the current moment that you're not happy with, then do something to change it. You have that power. People are so unbelievably powerful and strong. You literally have the mental capacity to make yourself sick, to make yourself run a fever, to make yourself do these things. And there's studies that back this up. So do the opposite. Use that brain power to say, I am going to go change these things. I am going to go make these things happen. And realize that there's going to be a learning curve. It may be years before something wholeheartedly changes in your life that you want to see. And you know what? That's okay. It's all right for things to take time.
Yeah. Patience is definitely a virtue. And people tend to not give themselves the chances they should because they're scared of failure or mistakes, or they don't feel qualified enough to. No.
Yeah.
And that goes with work, that goes with sports, that goes with coaching. That's something that even me and my husband talk about is no matter what job you want or what path, if you're already telling yourself that you're not qualified enough or you don't have X, Y, and Z to meet it, I feel that's never actually true. Anybody can do any job, anybody can fill any role. And you said you just have to change it.
I
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
let you and all your listeners know that this is what it is about. This continuing to make touches, to change lives, to do all these things. And I'm very happy and proud to be a part of it. So I want to make myself available. If there's anybody that wants to reach out, anybody that wants to talk about anything, and if you ever need anything from me, my number hasn't changed. Please feel free to reach out. My email address won't change. If you want to share it out in the posting in the podcast, I will be happy to do what I can to try to help.
Yeah, I absolutely will do that. And I have had Andy's number for I don't know how many years it is now.
Crazy amount of time.
10,
It's been
12,
10 or 12 years.
12. Yeah. I feel fortunate though to still have the connection with you and the relationship with you, even if we miss years of seeing each other, running into each other, talking to each other. It shows a lot about your passion for this sport and empowering athletes and coaches, and even still being there for me to this day. I just can't thank you enough for not just being a coach who changed my position for the rest of my career, but also for being a coach who showed me that believing in players, whether they're athletes or not, just people in general, the differences that they can make in the world and in life. Thank you, Andy, for joining She Aced That this week. And with that, everybody, we will see you next Wednesday.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.